Round one goes to Aaron Judge and the Yankees. Is it time to worry about Juan Soto? Who should have been fired in Baltimore, Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? Plus, the NL West was almost a much different division. All that and more on this episode of Closers. What is going on, everybody? Lots to talk about today. There is incredible stuff going on in Major League Baseball, and there's only one man who can help us out with these problems, and he is Mr. 69, David Aardsma. DA, what is going on, my brother?
How you doing, James?
I'm doing good, brother. I had a nice birthday party, so I got to do that, but it wasn't as fun as Mr. 69's debauchery in Las Vegas. How was Las Vegas, my friend?
Las Vegas was quite Las Vegas-y. I don't know. It all, like, it's almost like I forgot everything that happened. No, it was fun. We went to EDC. We stayed out till 5 a.m., partied our butts off. First time and probably last time doing that. That was fun. It was a great experience.
Cool.
Had a lot of fun with that. Went to a big pool party with some Kygo, big DJ, huge DJ, and the next day had fun with that. So like we went crazy. Like a 24-hour span was pretty insane. Two massive, festival, like rave to pool party. That was pretty intense. But didn't go crazy on the alcohol. Controlled myself, I always control myself, but didn't go crazy with it and just enjoyed it. Had a good time with that. A couple of incredible dinners. Went to the Golden Steer, which we had kind of like Las Vegas classic, Rat Pack, super famous. We sat at the Dean Martin booth, and so that's a lot of fun. And then had a good time, but didn't go crazy with it, but had a great time.
It's funny because I saw that you posted, I think on your Facebook, that you said that you had an extra ticket to the concert.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for my nephew's birthday, I was actually considering flying out and surprising you and taking that extra ticket off of you. It would have been a blast.
Dude, should come out.
Well, I wasn't going to miss my nephew's birthday. Sorry. Love you, but that ain't going to happen.
There's a lot of nephews.
Question for you before we get into the baseball stuff. Were you wearing sunglasses the whole time?
I was not.
Because then I don't know how you didn't get in trouble, because rave, Las Vegas, a lot of good looking women. I'd be like this the whole time. And I know your wife.
I took pictures with them.
Oh, well, then we're going to have to post those, or at least send them to me.
Yeah, own it. Take pictures of them. They're beautiful. That's the beautiful part about having an amazing wife. We're like, that's a beautiful woman. She's like, yeah, she's hot.
Yeah.
You can always say a good marriage, you're able to just say that's beautiful, and they can recognize that's beautiful.
I can't get anybody to date me, let alone marry me. All right, let's go to one thing that I do know about, and that's baseball. I'm assuming you didn't have a chance to watch too much of the Yankees-Mets series this weekend with your electronic music festival.
I did see some of it. Absolutely. I was on top of it, watching some of the series. But I was not sitting at the edge of my seat for it by any means.
Okay. So, obviously you got to see what happened. You got to see the aftermath. What were your immediate thoughts when you found out about the booing of Juan Soto in the Bronx? What did you think about the way he handled it? Give me your insight. My
insight to it. So, a couple things with it. One, Yankee fan, do whatever you want to do. If you feel score, I liked them turning around. I like that. That to me is a proper way of doing it. You're taking what's fun about Yankee Stadium and turning it on its heels and kind of like, hey, like you turn your back on us, we're going to turn your back on you.
Do you know whose idea that was?
I don't know.
That was Tiki Barber, the former running back of the New York Giants. He had that idea and talked about it on his show on WFAN.
Yeah, it's a great idea. That is a proper way of doing it. I do not. When a player is a rent-a-player and they get traded for knowing he's going to be a free agent, don't boo him. Don't boo him. What is the point of booing him? He did exactly and everything you ever expected out of him. He came in, played the role, was Robin to Aaron Judge's Batman, and killed it, and then played free agency, which is exactly what he said he was going to do the whole time. And he went to the place where he wanted to go, or his family wanted to go, whatever. It ended up being great. Don't boo the player when they're a free agent. They're not a Yankee for life. It's not like he was a Yankee for life and the Yankees have been offering him every single year and he just keeps saying no and no and no. And then he scorns them and takes less money somewhere else. Yeah, boo that guy. 100%. He's not that. So I don't understand the booing. The booing is pissed off Yankee fans just thinking they're bigger than baseball. Like, oh, we're better than everybody else. If you turn your back on us, he didn't turn your back on you. He just chose somebody else. That's my thing about it. These guys in these situations don't turn their backs on anybody. They're just choosing what they want to do. That's not turning your back, because there's still 29 other teams. Then if you pick the Yankees, you turn his back on 29 other teams. And anyways, so I don't understand the booing, but I love the turning around. I thought that was great. And then obviously you want him to play better. You want him to have a little bit more of an impact on the series. One hit in the entire series is not what you're paying Juan Soto for. And I'm going to say this right now, I do still think the reaction and the overreaction of Juan Soto and how he's been doing on this season is way too much. Stop asking him about New York Yankees. New York media, shut up. Just shut your face, because you're making such a big deal out of it as if he wanted to be a Yankee more than anything else. And like that, like, okay, if he would have been chosen the Yankees and he's hitting 200 like he is right now, would you have been happy? No, you'd be slamming him. So stop slamming him that he wanted to be a Yankee, but he's not. He chose the Mets, and you're trying to find all these other things. I even read they're trying to find other BS stories about him taking private jets and not with the team. And that's the problem with New York media, is they start taking and just lying, and then they make everybody has to ask him the question. They're literally making up stories now and then saying, what do you think of this? That is bullshit media. And that's the problem. That's my biggest problem with some of the New York media, is they will literally lie to your face, and then somebody else get to ask you the question with a little grin on it, going, hey, what do you think of the private jet? And then they get to ask your teammates. And that's a problem. Okay, he's not playing great, but they're still killing it. They're still 10 games over 500. Yes, in second place, who cares? They're 10 games over 500, and they're doing everything they could possibly do. Imagine when he starts playing good. Jeez, don't stop trying to rock this ship and wake up the bear.
And then you have that jackass, that arrogant, pompous face of the Yankees broadcaster, Michael Kay, sitting there, well, he really wanted to be a Yankee, and my sources are telling me he really wanted to be a Yankee, and he's completely unhappy. He doesn't have that top step enthusiasm. First of all, the only person that knows if he really wanted to be a Yankee was Juan Soto, and maybe his agent, and maybe, just maybe, his mom. Those are the only three people that if they came up to me and said, this is exactly what the situation was, and other than Juan Soto, I wouldn't believe it 100% anyway. And then you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, he wanted to be a Yankee and he's not happy. You have no idea what is going on inside of Juan Soto's head. The problems that come with signing that contract are something that you and I will never understand. And you understood it to a certain extent way more than I would. You didn't make hundreds of millions of dollars in baseball, but you made enough where people were coming up to you and asking you for money and asking you for help. Can you imagine if you signed a contract for $765 million, how many people would have came up to you and asked you for money?
Yes, it would have been absolutely insane. But to bring it back to Michael Kay, the thing about he wanted to be a Yankee, but his family said, yes, no. Just no. Where he wanted to go is where he was going to go. And being a Yankee or being a Met, it doesn't matter. The families don't care. You're a New Yorker. If it's between those two, it's legitimately the money. And yes, he had a great season, but maybe he had a really bad experience when he was at the Nationals or the Padres in New York at some point, and he hated the Yankee fans. And then who knows? But maybe he had a bad negotiation with the Yankees. Maybe they kind of pissed him off a little bit. Maybe the numbers didn't quite add up, and what you're hearing from the Yankees isn't actually what was said, to his agent, and there just wasn't something enough there. But at the same time, the Mets have been a great choice for him. and he's killing it. Like the Mets are killing it, which is all that really matters. The Mets are killing it with him, and the Yankees are killing it without him. This has been a win-win for both teams, both situations. Like, I get it. Cody Bellinger at the end of the day is not as good as Juan Soto, but he's playing just as good.
And let me, before the season started, that after 47 games, Juan Soto would have 8 home runs, 20 RBIs, hitting 246. What would your reaction would have been?
Oh, crazy. No way. I don't believe you.
Really? Because if you had told me...
After how many games?
After 46 games.
I would have... the 246 would have surprised me, and I thought it would probably have 10. But the 246 is the number that surprised me, and really where I'm seeing it is like on base and stuff like that. Yeah,
the on base percent. But here's the thing.
That's where I'm really seeing it.
But as you know, there's a lot of pressure with a contract like that. So if you had told me, you know what, he's going to start off a little rough. He's hearing it from both ends. Yankee fans hate him. Mets fans are having problems because they're hearing the Yankee fans, and they're starting to, get on him a little bit because he hasn't lived up to the $750 million. All that I think is true. I wouldn't have had a problem if you told me, he's hitting 246 after, a month and a half, because it takes a little time. You look at some of the guys who have come to the New York Mets over the years, and I've seen it firsthand. Lindor, was he any good his first year? He was okay.
Oh, God, no. He was horrible.
He was okay, actually, but he got a lot more.
Compared to what they were paying him for and what he had done the year before.
Okay, yeah. Mike Piazza, when he came over here, they were booing Mike Piazza. Carlos Beltran had a garbage first year, his year. So I'm not going to have that much of an issue.
Soto's never been below 400 in on-base percentage. That's the one that hits me.
Right.
Like he's been 240 in average before, but he has 400 with on-base, 452 slugging, and that was his lowest OPS of his entire career until now at 850. Again, that was a down year for him in 22. Yeah. But so that's something that we're not sitting here and looking at going we can't have that. That's not normal in that sphere. And he's just doing that right now.
For me, the bottom line, what I want to end this segment with is, unless Juan Soto comes out and says this is the truth, I'm not believing any of it, because you have no idea what's going on inside of a player's head. Do you remember that interview we did with Griffey years ago when we talked about his father having cancer?
And his mom.
And his mom having cancer, and he went through a terrible slump, and nobody knew about it. And people were sitting there trying to figure out what's wrong with Griffey and giving him grief because he was like 0 for 40 at one point. You have no idea what's going on in these players' heads.
And he's still 24th in on-base percentage. And that's where I'm looking at and going that's where I really see it. And that sucks, and he's still 24th.
Yeah. So for all of you, are you worried about him at the end of the day? Are you worried that Juan Soto's not going to have a good year?
Okay, I'm worried that I know he isn't having a good start, but I'm not worried about him having a good year. I think he's going to end up at the very worst. You're going to look at it and go, okay, he was pretty good. And then they build the rapport, and Lindor's gonna be around a while. Now Alonso's gonna be around. Okay, get me Soto, and that the core of this team is gonna be around. Then you're like, okay, that's when it gets dangerous.
I'm telling you right now, I'll guess the numbers, and we'll look back at this show and we'll see how close I am. He's gonna end up hitting about 270, 28 home runs, and 80 RBIs with a 390 on-base percentage. He's going to be a little lower than usual, but not that much lower. He's going to have a month where he's just going to go off, and we're going to say, oh, this is Juan Soto.
I believe it, 100%.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have good people around you, and I'm sure he has amazing people around him, which makes him a much better player. And if you want to be a much better player, who should you have around you? Mr. 69, David Ardsma. DA, tell everybody about Top Velocity Pro.
Top Velocity Pro is the source for your pitching throwing needs. Hit me up on any social media, Top Velocity Pro. You'll find me. Go to my website, topvelocitypro.com. If you want to be the best baseball player you can possibly be, we look at it from every single possible angle, build you up from the ground up, and make you an absolute stud so you can go make your $700 million like Juan Soto.
There you go.
Now, little star can't guarantee you'll make $700 million like Juan Soto, but we'll put you in the best position where you'll be the best baseball player you could possibly be.
There you go. And you know who knows a little bit about pitching?
Me.
The broadcast.
Actually, I just want to tell you this. I had a couple of my dudes. I had 2 dudes win state championship yesterday. 2 of my pitchers win a state championship yesterday. Went and watched them, and they were actually playing against 2 of my other guys that I train. And,
give me some names so we know to watch out for them in a couple of years.
I'll give you names once they go to college because they might end up being basketball players. Kyle and Carson Greer, they're going to college and playing 2 sports, basketball and baseball.
Hey, Bo knows.
They're going to Wheaton College because that's the one college that is very good education, very good base for them. That was very important that the people around them was very good. And then they're going to be able to play basketball and baseball.
Wait, they're going to Wheaton?
Wheaton College.
Wheaton.
Don't do that.
Okay, sorry. You know where I'm going with this.
I got you. Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you know who knows a lot about pitching?
Who?
The broadcaster for the Baltimore Orioles, a guy who might have won a Cy Young, had some 20-win seasons, and now he's saying that Brandon Hyde should have been fired, which I disagree with. But before you hear my thoughts, I want to hear the great David Aardsma.
Should he have been fired? Man, this is the tough question. I'm going to go with yes. I believe Brandon Hyde should have been fired.
Wow. Okay. Hot take there. I did not expect that.
I would have given a little bit more time, but the course this team was going on, and it is not his fault, but he needed to be fired.
So the guy
very clear, it wasn't his fault.
Okay.
But he needed to be fired.
But Mike Elias, the guy who built that team,
and that's his fault. It is Mike Elias' fault.
Gave him that garbage team. Well, not garbage, but subpar team compared to what they were last year. Instead of firing himself or getting fired, he said, ooh, I'm going to use Brandon Hyde as a scapegoat, so maybe I can keep my job a little longer. I am furious with the fact this guy got fired. Was he the one who decided that instead of trying really hard to re-sign Corbin Burns, I'm going to get Shigano and I'm going to get who's the kid that they just cut that they signed for $6 million? The starting pitcher. Oh man, I'm having a mental fart right now.
That happens.
Oh Jesus. Anyway, the bottom line is, and I'm sure you're going to look it up. The bottom line is that Brandon Hyde didn't sign Kyle Gibson. He wasn't the one who signed Kyle Gibson instead of Corbin Burns. He didn't bring an older pitcher from another league into Major League Baseball in Shigano, who's pitched pretty well. He wasn't
really well.
That.
Oh, stop bringing up Sagano's name. He's the one killing it. He's got 3 right now.
He's fine, but can you imagine having Shigano and Corbin Burns?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Can you imagine if their big bat that they brought in, Tyler O'Neill, was Anthony Santander instead, who had 40 home runs last year that you never even heard that they were going after him? Is that Brandon Hyde's fault? No, that's all the GM's fault. How in the hell is he keeping his job? And we're saying, oh, yeah, Brandon Hyde, sorry, sucks to be you. The guy was the manager of the year.
Yes. His manager of the year had done an incredible job. So this is why I'm looking at this. He is the captain of the ship. Now, there's a general manager that puts this team together, but he's the captain of the ship. He is the one creating direction. He is the one talking to the players in the locker room every single day. He's talking to the GM every single day. He is creating a culture. And when you go out and just play like absolute crap, you're 15-31. You've missed 2 pieces, Anthony Santander and Corbin Burns. And then you go out, and I get it. There's players you've signed. You've gone out. You got Sagano, right? Charlie Morton. Let's not forget about Charlie Morton. When you have a guy like Kyle Bradish gets hurt, Grayson Rodriguez gets hurt, your entire Tyler O'Neill now is hurt, and Tyler O'Neill that's a signing, but you don't bring back Santander.
Gunnar Henderson didn't start the season healthy.
Henderson didn't start the season healthy, yes, but you bring back Felix Bautista, who didn't start out well, but now is playing very, very, very good. When you go out there and you bring in your young rookies in a Jackson Holiday who is finally starting to turn it around and starting to play well, right? So like there's been a whole lot of things going on. Like Mountcastle has sucked. Gunnar Henderson has not been playing well. When you're looking at this, like there's a lot of guys that have not been playing well. Okay. You're the captain. You choose the direction. You're talking to these guys. They have to believe in you no matter what roster you throw up there. And this roster is not a 15-31 roster. Without Santander, without Corbin Burnes and Santander, they go from the best team in the East to the worst team by far, no one worse. And they're borderline worse in the league if there was not like a team called the White Sox or the Rockies around, worse than baseball. So we're going from that to this. That's my problem. That has a repercussion behind it. And no matter what, Michael Elias did not bring back Santander, did not bring back Corbin Burnes, who are just the two studs. Easily should have. This team should have at least have 21 wins right now.
Okay.
They're 15-30. There's no excuse for that. I think Brandon Hyde is a great manager. I actually believe in him. I think it was a little too early. At the same time, I completely understand because they're hearing that voice every day, and that voice is not resonating for the roster they have. This roster right now would be last place in almost every single division of baseball. When you're playing that bad, you have to change up the voice. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily his fault that they're not winning the division and they're not the best team in the American League. That's a Mike Elias's fault. But they're worse, and it's not because of Mike Elias. And that's what I have to. They did not make Mike Elias and not bringing back Santander and believing in his rookies and not bringing back Corbin Burnes, but bringing in a Sagano who's actually pitching just as good as Corbin Burnes did last year. That's not on Mike Elias, at least at the point of them going to last place. 15-30 is not Mike Elias. 20-20 is Mike Elias. I give him 20-20. I give him 500. This is a 500 roster. They're not a 15-31.
There are a couple of things that I want to talk about when it comes to this. The first being, we are in this age of sabermetricians, and we have heard a lot that the manager isn't that important anymore, and in most cases, it's the front office that is telling the managers who to play, what to do.
100%. It is the front office.
Okay, so if the front office is telling you who to play and what to do, and they are not producing on the field...
Don't go down this road, because I have an answer for you. I have an answer for you.
Please, that's what I want to know. What's the answer?
Because they're the manager. They speak to the players. They rally the troops. They are the people person. That's the difference. So managers have shifted from in-game management and being a dickhead to everybody to not in-game management. They are the guy that everybody looks to and says, I want to have a beer with you. I need to talk to you about my life. I need to get my head straight. I want to get back on track. That stuff didn't happen back in the day. Nobody talked to the manager. You didn't talk. You didn't hang out with the manager and, hey, man, let's talk about, like, man, why am I struggling right now? The managers tell you, F you, get the F out of my office. You figure it out. I write the lineup, and that's literally what managers would tell players. I write the lineup. You worry about that. And now that's shifted. They don't need to write the lineup. They need to take care of those players, 26 men in that locker room. That's why you have ex-players now becoming managers again, because they don't need to know about sabermetrics. They don't need to know all that data. That's all made up for them. That's why you have all those guys. What they need to do is have 26 guys in that lineup with one common goal, one culture, one road, and you keep them on that path. And so when you have a team that goes from first place to last place and you're only missing 2 players and you still brought in some good players, then you have to look at, okay, who's driving this ship and do these guys believe in that guy? They need to hear a new voice. And that's why they're making the move. It's still not his fault, but they need to hear a new voice and rally behind somebody.
So if that's the case, if all the manager is a babysitter now, let's not hire a manager.
Stop calling them a babysitter. They're not babysitter. You're
therapist, whatever. If they're being therapists, then forget about hiring a manager. Bring everybody's mommy onto the bench And that's who they'll ask. Mommy,
Here's the problem, though, is you have the guys that do the data. You have you have people that do the data. You have people that run the numbers and tell them what the correct move is for the guy. And all that's done perfectly fine. It is, and it's killing it because there are great moves right now. And a lot of times the moves end up working out in everybody's favor. And then you need somebody that sits there and walks in every day and pats them on the back. How are you doing today? This is Terry Francona. This is what the thing you love about Terry Francona is what they're trying to find in all of these guys. Terry Francona isn't the perfect make every move, everything's perfect on the field guy. Terry Francona is the locker room guy. And that's why he keeps having jobs. And this is the thing. We want to trash like the front offices for finding Terry Francona, but we want to love Terry Francona for being Terry Francona.
Right.
Like, they're trying to find Terry Francona, and that's why Craig Counsell, that's why all these managers, Dave Roberts has a job because he's damn good at people loving him. Aaron Boone. Fuck, Aaron Boone. The only reason Aaron Boone has a job is because you walk in the locker room and guys love him.
Okay.
Like he's their best friend at the same time their mentor, and that's what you want out of these guys.
But here's the bigger problem that I have with this whole situation, and I'm going to end after this, is we saw this coming.
Yeah.
We saw this coming. In spring training, we
didn't see 15 and 31.
Okay, but we saw that they were not going to be nearly as good.
Yes, so 100%.
So you want to call it they should be 25 and 26?
I mean, right now it would work out to be, whatever it is. 500.
Okay. 500.
Whatever that is. 500.
So that's 5 more wins. So you're telling me, like, he's responsible for those 5 wins when we all knew that before the season they were not going to be as good. That's the problem that I have with this, is we knew this was fait accompli. We knew this was happening. We knew
they weren't going to be great. And that's what frustrated all of us, is they have an opportunity to be great for years to come, but we knew this year they weren't going to be great. Now, we also didn't think they were going to be bad. And that's where I look at and go, that's the manager.
Yeah.
They became bad because of the manager, and they're not great because of the GM. They're in a weird spot. They're not the Pirates, where we also knew they had a bad team and Ben Cherington's not making the moves, but Ben Cherington's hands are like this the whole time too, like completely tied. This team should have the reins to an empty checkbook. I'm starting to wonder if the new ownership is actually putting the reins on Mike Elias and saying, hey, bump it down a little bit. And that's what I'm starting to wonder. That's the real question. Is it not Mike Elias? Because if you actually look at the moves, he tried. He lowered budget and made moves for players. Brought in Japanese player. Brought in Charlie Morton. Didn't like the move, but brought in Charlie Morton. Yeah. Right? Like I'm not a big fan of that move. I think that's a lot. Kyle Gibson. They're bringing in like a Gary Sanchez. I don't get it, but I get it. Tyler O'Neill. There's some solid things here. Okay, they're trying to piece together, but they didn't spend on the 2 big pieces. Maybe it's actually ownership, and like we thought we were going to get this fun, great ownership group, and they actually end up being worse than Angelos.
It's very possible. Now, we're talking about Mike Elias saying what I believe is a terrible job that he's done. You know who's done an equally bad job? That would be Perry Manassian, the Angels general manager. I read an article yesterday that Ken Rosenthal basically said prior to the San Diego Padres going out there and getting Juan Soto, they were deep in conversation with the Angels for Shohei Ohtani. Can you imagine what would have happened if Shohei Ohtani went to San Diego? I don't think there's any chance that he would have left San Diego, because you have the Godfather, Yu Darvish, over there. He would still be on the West Coast, and he wanted a team that could win. That team can win. I don't think there's any chance that he would have left. And you would have set up the Angels lovely, because what did the Nationals end up getting for Juan Soto? They ended up getting Dylan Cruz. They ended up getting James Wood. They ended up getting Mackenzie Gore. Now, there was also rumor that Jackson Merrill was very, very much a part of this trade. So they could have ended up, instead of having Cruz, they could have had Merrill, Wood and Mackenzie Gore, which would have set up the Angels for years to come. Wow. What a terrible job by the Angels.
Okay. No. Okay. On field, yes. Off field, you understand there's a different dynamic in baseball too, like that we don't consider a lot of the times when we're talking about these trades. When you talk about like the unicorn, you're also talking about the financial windfall that it is Shohei Ohtani just off the field.
Yeah.
And this is why I truly believe he was not traded ever by the Angels, was the conversations they had when they basically told him when they signed him, we will never trade you. Unless you want it, we will never trade you. I think and I truly believe, the bottom of my heart, those two things were existing at the same time. And I'll say three things. They understood they sucked. It's kind of easy to see that.
Yeah.
2, they told him, we're not going to move you. And we're sticking by it. We're a team actually stuck by their word. And then 3, the financials on the back end, they didn't care. They were making so much money off of the product that is Shohei Ohtani that they're like, all right, well, we'll take our L's, but we're going to take that money. And they're selling him and his likeness and everything everywhere. They're selling tickets. When they go anywhere, like they're playing, people are selling out. And they had a lot of problems. And then Perry Manassian, I think, actually became probably the most trustworthy GM you could probably ever find by just having his word and sticking to it. And at the end of the day, we all know he should have gotten traded this last year at the Angels. And this trade would have been happening before that. But his last year at the Angels, everyone in the world knew he should have gotten traded. There's no doubt. We were talking trade all through everything. The financials and the word was their bond with Shohei. And they stuck with it.
I think more so than either one of those things, and I'm not discounting your thoughts by any stretch of the imagination, but I think more so, I believe that they thought that if they let him get out the door at all, there was no chance he was re-signing. They believed that they had a legitimate shot to re-sign Ohtani, and that if they traded him, there'd be no shot they would get him back. Because at the end of the day, how many teams were really in it for Ohtani? You had the Dodgers, you had the Angels, and you had San Diego. And everybody else was kind of like, hey, it's not on the West Coast. There's a chance, but it's very unlikely he's going to leave the West Coast.
I mean, San Francisco was probably definitely right up in there.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. But do they have,
but we heard like
money, $700 million worth?
Yeah, I think because they were willing to go to Judge. They were willing to touch the Judge numbers.
A Judge number and Ohtani number, very different. You're talking about,
but I think they understood I think out of every team, I think the Dodgers and the Giants understand the financials probably better than anybody else. And I think the Giants, being that group, I think they get the financials, and that's why they're going for Judge, and that's why they are going for all these guys, knowing the financial of selling that. And San Francisco, like you bring a player in San Francisco, everybody goes crazy for him.
Right.
You have a good point there, and I think there's a lot to do with that. But I also think, man, they were just making so much money off of him. Like, you're like, all right, we might never get him back if he goes. I think they also, though, knew if he ever goes to free agency, they're probably never going to get him back anyways. And it's hard as a GM, you're looking your job in the eye when you don't trade him. Like there's a good chance you're going to get fired by not trading him. At the same time, you're hoping that your owner understands why you're not trading him. And he sat there, I guarantee you, like this with his butt clenched every day going, please understand why I'm not trading Shohei Ohtani. Right. And they got their last little bits of him, and they made their money, and they made the little farewell tour. I truly believe he stood by his word.
Do you think there's any chance that if Ohtani ended up getting traded to San Diego, he would have left San Diego?
Culturally, I don't know. That's the only thing about it, is that team's a little bit of a ragtag put together bunch that's like rally and kind of have a chip on their shoulder and kind of be assholes, but be really good at baseball assholes, and it's fun and it's great for baseball. I just don't know how much that plays into Shohei, where it seems like Shohei is a lot more chill. I'm going to lay back, superstar, but not a superstar. I don't want to see my teammates rock the boat. Like, let's all play great, respectful baseball. And I think there's times where I don't know if he would have. It would have been a roller coaster, and I don't know if he would have liked that. Plus, I think his agent would have still said, dude, like, you're going to make a lot more money with a Dodger or a Yankee across your chest. I mean, a lot more money.
See, I don't know about that, because if they had made that trade then, I think the owner, before he died, would have done everything.
Off the field. The numbers on the field, the contract numbers would have all been
you're talking endorsements and stuff like that. Okay.
It's a different monster wearing a Dodger uniform and wearing a Yankee uniform. The only one that could have competed in Japan was a Seattle uniform. It's the only one that could have competed in Japan, because they have such a oomph in like being with Ichiro and the other players that they've had there. But the Dodgers and Yankees just mean different when you're on a billboard.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I'm not buying is the whole roller coaster you were talking about with the team, because I just think that Darvish would have made everything so much better. He would have been
the only reason he stayed.
Yeah. And I think he would have, because of you. I just think these Japanese players just have such esteem for Darvish, that they're just like, okay. Even Ohtani would play second fiddle to him in the clubhouse, in my opinion.
Who's the little like second base or shortstop, whatever it is right now for the Dodgers? Ryu?
Oh God, yes. Hold on.
I'm just struggling with his name right now.
Yeah.
But he, have you seen him like bow to Shohei whenever he walks by him?
Yeah, it's really funny. God, I'm having a lot of mental farts today.
It happens.
Dodgers.
Yeah, Kim.
Oh yeah,
Kim.
Kim. Yeah.
Whenever he walks by, he bows. I love it, and yeah. I think it's great.
Dude,
and even he's not even Kim's not even Japanese, is he? I know he's from South Korea.
Yeah, he's Korean, Kim.
Which is crazy, because those are two cultures that do not necessarily love each other.
Yeah, but if you're a baseball player, you still love Ohtani.
They don't know. It's a different.
It's impossible for you not to like Ohtani unless you're a Yankee fan that says that Aaron Judge is the greatest player in baseball. He's the most dominant pitcher, he's the most dominant hitter in baseball. He's not the best player. There's a difference, in my opinion. Now, finally, before we go, I need your advice, and maybe the fans of the show can, after they like and after they subscribe, they can comment and tell me what I should do. I'm going to Mets-Dodgers this Sunday night baseball. I can't possibly wear an Ohtani jersey in my favorite team. But can I wear two jerseys and take off the Soto jersey when Ohtani's at the plate?
Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You wear the Dodgers Ohtani jersey.
Uh-huh.
But you get a Mets logo and you tape it on front. And you say, should be a Met. Like on the back, you tape Ohtani should be a Met. And then that's how you rock it. Just random, and just see how many people react to it.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's gonna be fun. I can't wait for this, man. I mean, I try to go to a game every year that Ohtani's playing in. Maybe I'll wear my Angels jersey, because I can't root for the Dodgers. I have my Angels Ohtani jersey.
I want to go to World Baseball Classic. That's the game I want to go see.
We can make that work. We could do that.
We can maybe. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be playing in Phoenix next year. I think that sucks.
Dude, I got a lot of miles on my American Express card. We can make this happen. Let's do this. All right. With all that being said, I'm the Greek. He's Mr. 69. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you real soon.